part of what I want to do with this account is like take psychodynamic concepts and make them really easily accessible. And there's a concept or an idea by this French philosopher named Lacan. I'm probably not pronouncing it right. And this is a translation from his French to English, which was written, in a very psychoanalytic way to me, telling you the story. So just know that it's not going to be precise. But basically what Lacan said is that he starts most treatments, he was an analyst, by asking the client the history of their name. And he argued that the history of your name, particularly if you were named before you were born, sort of put in motion all the expectations about who you were supposed to be. And then you spend the rest of your life either living up to those expectations and meeting those demands, or sitting with the pain and sorrow of the fact that you're not able to do so, because in fact, you're not as scripted as everybody imagined you would be. So for queer people who are like choosing new names, he would probably argue that's the ultimate radical act in individuation and separating from what's been expected of us. And he argued, for example, that like in the Jewish community where you're named by the first letter of people who have been deceased before you, that there's been this sort of demand on Jewish people to reproduce their ancestry and culture in ways that had come before them and to keep it going. And that kind of pressure on an individual ends up seriously harming the psyche. And so he basically said that like the difference between which you're able to figure out who you are as distinct from who you were supposed to be, and the intensity with which you were scripted to be a certain person has a very high level of impact on your overall mental health. He even said people who are born and then named, like their parents meet them and look at them and come up with a name, have more psychological freedom than people who had been named well in advance of their birth. Just something to think about, and something I do think about in terms of who everybody fantasized each of us would become, and us having to deal with the reality of the fact that we rarely meet that expectation.